Hello, welcome to another video on this channel. In this video we will be looking at production ready Tailwind CSS. So I have a video where we show how to set up Tailwind CSS, and I have the same setup done in this Visual Studio Code, and I've opened that folder. So we can generate the CSS file by running the command npm run build CSS. So this will run the post CSS command, and then it will output the styles.css file in the public folder, and this file has all of the classes from the Tailwind CSS library. And over here we can see the size of the file. So it is 1.32 MB, and this is an extension that we installed. So you can search for file size, and this is the extension which I have currently installed. And you can also install this, and you can see the size of every file. For example, the size of this index.html file is 335 bytes. So now, in order for us to reduce this size of the CSS file, we can install a couple of post CSS plugins which will enable us to reduce this CSS output file size. So the first plugin which we'll look at is Purging CSS. So it's a post CSS plugin. So what this does is it navigates through all of the CSS classes that we have used in our HTML files, and then only adds that to the output CSS file and removes the ones that have not been used. So we'll look at how this works. So let us copy this installation command, and I'm going to paste it here. So it has been installed. So let us just confirm by going to package.json file, and we can verify that it has been installed. So now we need to configure our post CSS config file. So we are first going to require the library. So I'm going to say const purge css equal to require, and we need this value here. So at full human / post css - purge css, and then we will need a config, and this will be an object. Okay. So for the first configuration, we are going to target the content property, and this is an array, and then it takes a bunch of values. So for now, since we just have the index.html file, so we can give that over here. And for the second config, we are going to use a property called default extractor. So we'll need to provide a function here. So we can say content, and this content is the content of the file, and then we'll have to give it a matching regex value. So those will be all of the CSS classes for Tailwind. So we have defined the config, and this config is enough for us to make sure that all of the classes from Tailwind CSS are selected. And then over here I'm going to use the Purge CSS plugin, and then give it a config. so that is purging config. So I'm going to save this file. Okay, so now let us run the same command one more time. So npm run build css. So now let's go to the styles.css file. So we see there are a bunch of comments, and then if we scroll to the bottom, so we have only 5 classes that are part of this file, and if we go to the index.html file, we can see only those 5 classes being used. We can also see the size of the file, so it is 7.5 kilobytes. So earlier it was 1.3 MB. We have significantly reduced the size of the file. So we can verify if things are working fine or not. So let me add a h1 tag and a class of text to Excel. So let me go to the styles.css file now, and then if I scroll down, we can see the class text to Excel has been added. So one more enhancement that we can do is we can add a production build command. So it can be build css prod, and we want to set the node environment variable to production as well. So I can say node env equals production, and then we can add a condition here that says process.env.node equals production and this command. So only when this is true, this command will be run, and then we'll get all of the classes removed. So for development purposes, we'll have all the classes, and only once we are in production, it will run this library for us. So let me just run build css, and this will output all of the css classes. Okay, so let's go to the style css file, and as you can see, it has outputted all of the classes, and the size is 1.32 MB. So let us run npm build css prod, and this should enable the plugin for us. Now we can see the file content has been reduced. So now if I click on the file size, then it shows me the reduced. With this, we have enabled the Purge CSS plugin, which will remove unused CSS classes. So another way we can reduce the file size is to remove the line breaks, the spaces, etc. So to do this, we have to use another plugin. So we'll be looking at this plugin which will optimize the CSS for us. So I'm going to run the command npm install css nano. Okay, so it is installed. So we can go to package.json file and verify it. So let's add this plugin to our postcss config file. So we can say require css nano, and we'll have to pass a config for that, and we'll say preset default. Okay, so let us run the production command once again. Okay, so let's go to the css file, and now we can see that the output is in one single line, and we can see most of the comments have also been removed. And now if we check this file size, so it is 794 bytes. So this has considerably reduced the file size. So these are the two plugins which we can use to reduce the file size of Tailwind CSS and make sure it is production ready. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the content, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. Thank you.